Here is an additional Boxplot example. A sample of students were asked how many texts they sent that day, and the data is given below: 49, 33, 21, 24, 23, 28, 2, 31, 32, and 31. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 data values. So the first thing we want to do is find the quartiles. Now, in this scenario, we have an even amount of data values. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the data in half. But before we do that, we have to rewrite our values in ascending order from least to greatest. So we write 2, 21, 23, all the way to 49. Now, since there's an even amount of numbers, we're going to group the first 5 together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the last 5 are together: 31, 31, 32, 33, and 49. So in order to find quartile 2, which is the median, we need to take 28 and add 31 and then divide that by 2. So quartile 2 is going to equal 29.5. Now quartile 1 is the median of the first group of the numbers. We have an odd group of odd numbers, so we can take the middle number. So quartile 1 is equal to 23. And the same thing on the right side: 31, 31, 32, 33, 49. We have 5 numbers. So the middle number is going to represent the median here. So quartile 3 is equal to 32. Now we need to find any outliers. So in order for us to find any outliers, we need to find the interquartile range. Well, interquartile range is taking quartile 3 and subtracting quartile 1. Quartile 3 is 32. Quartile 1 is 23. So 32 minus 23 is equal to 9. And then what this is going to allow us to do is then find the lower fence and the upper fence. So the lower fence is equal to quartile 1 minus 1.5 times the interquartile range. So that is 23 minus 1.5 times 9. So therefore 9.5 represents the lower fence. The upper fence is quartile 3 plus 1.5 times the interquartile range. So 32 plus 1.5 times 9 gives us 45.5. So if we go back and look at our data, okay, any numbers that's to the left of 9.5 or to the right of 45.5 are considered outside the middle observations. So here we have the smallest number. We can see that our outliers are going to be 2 and then 49. So let's go back up here. So we can state that 2 is an outlier on the left side, and 49 is another outlier. And then notice that 21 then is going to be the smallest number in our observation, and 33 is going to be our largest number within our observation. So now that we have all this information, now we can go ahead and then construct a box plot. So let's go ahead and do that. If we want to construct a box plot, we first need to determine what is quartile 1, quartile 2, and quartile 3 from our data. So rewriting from our previous slide, quartile 1 is 23, quartile 2 is 29.5, quartile 3 is 32. The lowest number that's not an outlier in our data set is 21. The largest number in our data set that's not an outlier is 33. The lower fence is 9.5. The upper fence is 45.5. And the outliers are 2 and then 49. So the first thing we need to do is we need to write our number line first. So we know that our data values are going to go from either 0 all the way up to at least 49. So we can go, our number line can go from 0 to 50 in increments of 5. So 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on all the way up to 50. Now remember, we need to write down what this represents. Well, this number line here represents the number of texts. And then the box plot is the number of texts that are sent per day. So let's go ahead and then determine how this box is going to look. Well, we know that at 29.5, that represents the median, which is quartile 2. So we're going to start there at quartile 2. And then what we do is, then we would create this line here. And then what is quartile 1? Well, we know that quartile 1 is 23. So we have that. And then we know that quartile 3 is at 32. So therefore, we can now at least make our box. Next, what do we know? Well, we know that our upper and lower fence, so our upper fence is at 45.5. And we know that our lower fence is at 9.5. We also know that our lowest number in our observation is 21. And we know that our highest number in our observation is 33. And then what else do we know? We know that here, 2 is an outlier. And then over here, we know that 49 is an outlier. So, what else do we need to know about this? Well, if you look at the box plot, we can see that the left whisker here is longer than the right whisker, so therefore we're going to say that it is skewed left. And therefore there is our box plot.